everybody! So I noticed on my channel I do a lot of videos geared towards girls. However, I decided to pander more toward my guy demographic today by reviewing an ecchi seinen comedy called Blood Lad. Now, Blood Lad is a 2013 anime created by Brainspace. However, you probably don't remember it if you were busy in Attack on Titan, Kill la Kill, and Free Watanabe Swim Club, like about 90% of the otaku fanbase. Now, the premise for this anime is about a vampire named Stas, and Stas has decided to sit down and take over a huge chunk of hell. However, instead of managing hell, or at least trying to find the very rare virgin maiden to drink blood from, he decides to spend all of his time being a complete and total Japan weeaboo. He is obsessed with Japanese culture, anime, video games, manga, things like that. So his entire world changes and kind of explodes when a normal human girl falls from her closet and into the demon realm. Now that I think about it, that kind of sounds like a very bad fanfiction. Now, the schoolgirl is a typical Japanese schoolgirl. She's a plot device and she has huge plots. And, of course, Stas is very excited about that, so he has her come over to his place. However, she kind of dies, so he has to put her back together and find the Book of Human Resurrection, or else she will remain a ghost and stay in the demon realm for the rest of her miserable existence. Thus starts the adventure of Blood Lad. Before we get into characters or more parts of the plot or anything else, let's first talk about the ecchi, because ecchi can make or break a seinen ecchi comedy. Now, in a lot of ecchi, sometimes it feels forced, like the panty shots are just there to tantalize you, or the large boobs, or having strange physics just because they can. However, in Blood Lad, it doesn't make it realistic, because if you look at Fuyumi, the Japanese schoolgirl, her proportions are not realistic in the least. However, because there's always a however, I find a lot of the fan service and the ecchi parts very fun and just comedic. Thinking back on this anime, I don't even remember any panty shots. A ton of the fan service and ecchi comes from just very large chest size and how that is played around with boob physics. And how a lot of the times Fuyumi, the Japanese schoolgirl, and Belle, another character, is switched around in different very revealing outfits. Aside from that, it doesn't really push itself in your face too much where it becomes a problem. So in my opinion, the ecchi really holds up and isn't going to sit there, and unless you find revealing clothing a bit too gratuitous, you're not going to have any issues with the actual ecchi. So now let's move on to the main course, characters. Stas is a complete Japan weeaboo. He wants to try sushi on a conveyor belt. He wants to try video games, anime, manga. Not actually other nitpicking parts of the culture, but more of the iconic, or at least from a Western standard, iconic parts of Japan. For a long time, this makes up a huge chunk of his personality. However, as the 10 episodes digress, his selfish attitude and outlook on life begins to change, and he sees Fuyumi not as this thing that can be added to his massive collection of merchandise, but as a person. Instead, he begins to realize he has to change himself in order to earn Fuyumi's respect. In order to properly protect Fuyumi, he can't rely on his anime and manga to guide him. He has to rely on himself and his life experiences now that he's actually outside the walls of his apartment complex. Now, the next character would be Fuyumi, our typical Japanese schoolgirl. While I did say that she is mostly the fan service doll and the plot device, I felt like they cut off the anime too short for her to actually have some form of character development. Because Fuyumi is the character that is inserted into this anime just so we can be explained all that happens in the demon realm. She is the outsider of the demon world. So she is curious about everything. She'll ask questions and she'll get excited about things, or she'll get scared about things. And seeing her reactions is very fun. Now, it's because of Fuyumi's reactions that I actually really like her. However, you're probably thinking you didn't give Yui or Yuki that much of a pass because you found them to be very weak characters. Not quite. I actually gave Yui pretty much a pass. there were ways for her to get out of her situation that she could have exploited, but never did. But I did find the fact that no matter what, she held on to the faith in her religion very convincing and showing that she does have some stubbornness behind her. The situation, though, she couldn't bring enough backbone to that particular party. Yuki, on the other hand, I did not pardon at all. She had the training, she had the skills, she had everything she needed to do in order to get done what needed to get done with those particular vampires. She never exploited any of them and constantly relied on getting saved by other people. And because of that, I cannot give Yuki a pass. The very final character I'll be talking about is Belle. Now, Belle is a spatial witch who believes her magic was stolen, and she believes Stas stole it. So she decides to go after him, and eventually becomes all tsundere for him and stuff like that. Now, I have this thing against tsundere characters because most of the time they're just abusive, yelling, and obnoxious, and I really hate them. However, Belle was a very okay tsundere. She wasn't very yelling and obnoxious and loud. Instead, most of the time, she would just push Stas around, knowing that for a certain amount of time, she was technically more powerful than him, even though some of her own abilities were stolen from her. And yes, you can argue that, once again, she's being used for fan service. However, once again, the fan service in this anime is very fun and very comedic. It is not supposed to sit there and be completely and totally in your face, and that's the only reason why you're watching it. And with Belle, considering the fact that she does help out, that she does have powers, that she helps further the plot along as well, makes it up multiple times over. Now, there are other characters in this anime. For example, Stas' two siblings and a werewolf named Wolf. Very wonderful name, by the way. Who reminds me, for some reason, of Levi Ackerman from Attack on Titan. I don't know what it is. It's just something about him reminds me of him. There's also some guards and police that eventually play a role within the anime. However, once again, the anime wraps up too quickly for many of the side characters to get a chance in the spotlight, which is actually very sad because 10 episodes was not enough for this anime because more plot points were being shown. For example, what exactly happened to Stas' parents? What exactly happened with the demon world and how it's divided up? Things like that didn't have enough time to be explained because this anime only got 10 episodes. 11 if you count the OVA. Now, I understand why they did that. The anime technically left off where the manga left off, and it needs more chapters within the manga. However, because there was very little interest in this anime in the first place, the chances of this getting a season 2 is very, very, very slim. So already you have a very interesting premise, but it will never get finished. So now let's talk about the art. The art for this anime is very stylized. At times when there is a comedic moment, it will become a different palette of colors, which was really interesting. Also, instead of yelling at attacks, the attacks will just burst on the screen in a bunch of letters, and I think that's been done before. I can't remember where. The character designs were nothing to sneeze at. I personally liked Fuyumi's cute moe style, which was very nice against everybody else's more matured, if not very cartoony stylization. The backgrounds and scenery were okay. There were some locations that caught your eye a little more and couldn't get added upon. And there were others that were kind of meh. It was a very hit and miss in that area. The music area, however, was very missed. The only music I remember from this anime at all is the sad moments. And this one piano ballad would play whenever there was a sad or gripping moment. Aside from that, I don't remember any type of music from this anime at all. And I'm sure there was an opening. I'm sure there was. In fact, I'm sure it's going to be on this video. It just didn't pop out to me at all. So now let's talk about the humor. A lot of the time, humor is very subjective, and I understand that. However, I like the humor in this anime. It had references, it poked fun at itself occasionally, and all around it poked fun at a lot of fantasy tropes found within the anime and manga section. In general, if you like an anime that is self-aware of some of the stupid things that it can do, then this anime is definitely for you. It is not self-aware as Space Dandy or Sergeant Frog, but it is aware to some degree, knowing, yeah, this is stupid, or yeah, I shouldn't do this, mostly because the characters to some degree are genre savvy. Overall, on a personal level, I really enjoyed this anime, and I have to admit it has to be in my top 20 at least. However, as an anime analyst, I have to say that this one, it was definitely an average student. A lot of the times, anime and manga will look to other anime and manga to see what works and what doesn't. And a lot of the time, it felt like Blood Lad was doing that. A lot of the time, it would look like it was staring at the other vampire anime comedies and mix and match what worked and what didn't to make a good anime. And while it is a good anime, not enough of it stands up on its own. Fuyumi is a character that falls flat. Nothing ever gets actually completed, or you don't have a sense of completion within this anime thanks to the technically 11 episodes. A lot of the time the music is just not there, or you just forget it, and sometimes the conversations fall very flat on its face, and sometimes the humor just doesn't fall up even by my sad standards. So while I do enjoy this anime, it was very clear that it looked to other things in order to understand how to make a comedy. Okay, this review is done. It's complete. It's done. One thing off my list. 100,000 more to go. I'm so happy this got done. And if you're happy it got done, please click the like button below. That way we can all be happy. Also, if you have never watched Blood Lad, or if you've never read the manga or anything like that, and you want to know which one should I start with, manga or anime, then please ask the questions in the comment section below. Or you can tell me what you want next. Do you want an anime review? Do you want an anime rant? Or do you want an anime theory? Or even a game theory? Not that one. Just let me know in the comment section. And also, so that way you know I keep my promises, click that subscribe button below. That way everything gets all up in your inbox. See you guys!